This is the big breaking story coming in, and it's the biggest ever conviction of policemen, is what we understand. This is news in that infamous Dehradun fake encounter. 17 policemen have been found guilty in that case now by a CBI court. In fact, the officers have been found guilty of murdering an MBA student. The cops have also been convicted for destruction of evidence, is what we understand. This is the encounter of Ranbir Singh in Dehradun about 5 years ago. That's the big news that we are tracking very closely this hour, and this case is now of importance because it's the case in which 17 policemen have been found guilty of murdering this MBA student Ranbir Singh. It's the biggest ever conviction of policemen anywhere in the country, and this is regarding that fake encounter case in Dehradun. What we do know about this particular case is that these were policemen who were arrested after evidence came in that 22-year-old MBA student from Ghaziabad, Ranbir Singh, was gunned down by the Uttarakhand police after being caught at Mohini Road, where he and his companions were allegedly trying to commit some crime. This happened in July 2009. Shubhajit Sengupta is joining us on the phone line from that CBI court. Shubhajit, first, what did the court have to say while convicting these policemen?
The court found all 18 of the 18, 17 of them guilty under 302, which is murder, which is read with 120B, which means criminal conspiracy, and all of them have been convicted in this case. This is the biggest ever conviction of a number of policemen in a fake encounter case. Only one person of the 18 odd people who were charged in this case have been let off with a lighter conviction, which is under 201, which is destruction of evidence. Now, if we look into the details of the case, CBI was investigating this case because the number of policemen who were involved were basically from Uttarakhand, and CBI made its case clear that if an investigation which was shown that if bullets were shot at in the woods near Dehradun, it clearly showed that the bullet should have hit the woods, the trees. Instead, when the forensic team reached there, they found the shells of AK-47 lying on the wood.
Right. Shubhajit, we'll come to the evidence in just a bit, but let's get more details about the case itself, because this is a 5-year-old case that we are talking about, and this was an MBA student who was shot down apparently in a fake encounter. Just take us through the incident itself.
It's a 5-year-old case, yes, and this was going on in Dehradun. What had happened was he, along with a few of his friends, were in that area when the police picked them up. According to our sources, police at that point of time were actually trying to catch hold of an extortion racket, and apparently some of the people who were present at that location were involved in extortion. But this guy, who was a student and who had gone to Dehradun to sit for his placement interview.
Shubhajit, just hold on, because we have Mr. Ranjit Sinha, the CBI director, on the phone line with us. Sir, this is a huge conviction coming of 17 policemen in a fake encounter case in Dehradun.
I think the CBI officers did a very good professional job, and our conclusion has been upheld by the trial court. We are very happy that we have been found correct in investigation.
Sir, could you just take us through what conclusions the CBI had drawn when it was probing this case?
No, we had concluded that the accused police officers were guilty of a murder charge, and that has been upheld by the trial court also.
Sir, what was it based on? What was the evidence that it was based on, your conclusion?
We had enough of circumstantial and direct evidence to prove our case, and that has been upheld.
So you feel the CBI stand has been vindicated?
Yeah, we have done a professional job, and we are proud of our investigators.
But in a sense, do you want to comment on the fact that it's the first time ever in this country that 17 policemen have been found guilty of staging a fake encounter?
I think this was an important case. That's why the case was referred to us, and we have lived up to our reputation.
All right, sir. Thanks very much for speaking to CNN IB, and that's Ranjit Sinha, the CBI director, sharing his initial point of view. Remember, this is a case that was handed over to the CBI by the Uttarakhand state government, and the CBI director says we've worked on all evidence. There was circumstantial evidence to point at the involvement of these policemen, and now out of 18 accused policemen, 17 have been found guilty of gunning down this MBA student, a 22-year-old, in the year 2009. So about 5 years ago, this incident took place in July, on the 3rd of July in Dehradun. Shubhajit, you were taking us through the case itself.
Yes, if you look at the case very closely, what has happened at that point of time was that this man was taken away from where he was in the urban Dehradun region to the woods near Dehradun, wherein he was shot at cold-bloodedly. That is what the case now stands at. Now, when CBI was handed over the case, they did a crime scene reconstruction in the woods. They found out that all the bullets which were found there, which the police had at that point of time alleged that it was shot by him at them, were actually found to be fake. Because what the police found out was, if an AK-47 burst fire is done in the woods, it would hit the tree and the shells won't be found lying down on the road itself. So on the basis of that, they could clearly prove that this was a staged encounter wherein this man didn't have any role to play. He was an MBA student who had gone to Dehradun for his placement interview, but unfortunately, instead of the placement interview, he was caught in between the extortion gang which was operating in the vicinity and the police, and then police picked him up.
Shubhajit, what is the sentence that these policemen who have now been found guilty of the fake encounter face?
See, of the 18-17 have been convicted under 302, which is murder, and 120B, criminal conspiracy. In this, the minimum sentence that can go through is life sentence. After that, the judge has the prerogative to give them death sentence as well. But that argument will begin tomorrow, and it will either conclude tomorrow or go on till Monday. So that is the order which is coming right now is only on the conviction. The sentencing hasn't taken place. But since
yes, I understand that. But what about that remaining one person? You're saying 17 of 18 have been found guilty of murder. What about the 18th police person?
The 18th police person has been found guilty of destruction of evidence, which carries a maximum sentence of 4 years. So at this point of time, his sentence will be much lesser than the rest of the 17 people. But all these.
Shubhajit, hold on. We're listening in to the lawyer.
तो इसका ये निकलेगा कि ये फेक इनकाउंटर था और अदालत ने इस बात को माना है।
क्या सीबीआई की दलील क्या थी और सीबीआई की दलील पर आज क्या मोहर लग गई अदालत की?
हाँ, सीबीआई की जो दलील थी कि ये फेक इनकाउंटर था, उस पर अदालत ने अपनी मोहर लगाई दी है। जो सबको कन्विक्शन तो सबको दी है, एक को चाहे 201 में दी है फॉर फैब्रिकेटिंग एविडेंस, बट इट इज ऑल्सो कन्विक्शन, ही इज ऑल्सो बीन कन्विक्टेड।
सेंटेंस के लिए क्या बोला है, कब तक
सेंटेंस शायद कल लगाएंगे या मंडे को है शायद।
मंडे को एक छूट जाएगा सर, 18वें को जो 201 में किया है वो
अगर उसका जो उसकी पनिशमेंट के हिसाब से उसको छोड़ देंगे, उसकी वो बेल बाउंड बोला है तो उसको तो छोड़ ही देंगे शायद, अंडरग्राउंड करके शायद।
ठीक है।
All right, 18 policemen have been found guilty of being involved in a fake encounter in killing an MBA student in Dehradun 5 years ago. It was a 22-year-old student, Ranveer Singh. Out of those 18, 17 have been found guilty of murder. One has been found guilty of destruction of evidence. The sentencing is still not over in this case, just awaiting that. But Shubhajit Sengupta has been at the CBI court today and is getting us all the updates from there. Shubhajit, again, the big point out of this news is that policemen, for the first time, so many of them, 17 of them, have been found guilty of murder, have been found guilty of staging this fake encounter.
Absolutely, Ananda. The prosecution of policemen has happened in such fake encounters before as well. But the fact remains is 17 policemen have been now convicted, which includes policemen to the rank of CO and others, which are senior police officials in this particular case, which clearly shows that it did take 5 years for the father's fight to get justice for his son. But at the end of the day, he was able to get justice for the cold-blooded murder that has taken place of his son. Remember, this father has been fighting on. He stays in Ghaziabad and has been fighting on for the last 5 years. He was the one who kept struggling, kept asking for a CBI probe. Finally, the probe was handed to CBCID, which is a state wing, and finally, after a lot of pressure from the media as well as from the family members, it was moved to CBI. And then when CBI took over the cases, redid the crime scene investigation, they redid the forensic examination, and the recreation of the crime scene clearly showed that this was a planned fake encounter. And on the basis of this, the Hazari court today awarded 17 of them guilty in this fake encounter case.
All right, Shubhajit, thanks very much for those quick details. This is going to be one of our top stories that we track here on CNN IB.